So let's shift our focus now to essential test taking tips. And the first tip that I have is that you need to, for the exam, the questions or the exam in general is testing you on, are you going to promote safety in your client? So focus on safety in your answer choices. The NCLEX is all about ensuring that you are a safe practitioner and that your focus will always be about promoting safety in your client. When in doubt, consider what would keep the client safe first. And if you can only do one thing for your client, which answer choice promotes safety right here, right now? So you want to stay focused. And staying focused is super important because this is often what trips students up. Let me give you an example. Have you all ever taken a test and at then when you go back and you're reviewing the exam, you look at a question and you're like, why did I get that wrong? I knew that answer. But then you realize that you probably just overlooked a word in the stem of the question. And so you didn't come to the right content connection on the question, and therefore you got it wrong. You lost focus when you were doing that question. So staying focused is super important. It's a skill that you have to pay attention to when you do practice tests, and you need to figure out, why are you losing focus and how can you get back in control of gaining focus on the exam. So really pay attention to your test taking skill as you sit for an exam. Do you find that every 20, 40, 60 questions you start to just get tired and start daydreaming or drift off or start rushing through the test because now you just want it done? Those are all things that can get you to lose focus. So pay attention to those items. And in order to stay focused, a lot of us need to manage anxiety. So I like to talk a little bit. This is probably one of the biggest issues that I hear from students is having anxiety on exams, and especially on NCLEX day. So in order to get a hold of managing anxiety, you have to practice how to manage the anxiety before you get to NCLEX test day. So one thing that I really like to encourage students is about breathing exercises, and in particular, diaphragmatic breathing. This is a great relaxation technique to use before and during the test. So it's super simple. All you want to do is inhale through the nose to a count of 4, hold it for a count of 2, and then exhale to a count of 4. And if you do this 2 or 3 times before you start an exam, and then maybe every 20 questions throughout a test, you may find that it helps you stay a little bit more relaxed and in more control. So practice this technique. Don't just think, oh, yeah, I'll do that on test day. It doesn't work that way. Everything that you want to happen on test day needs to be what you practice as you prepare for test day. So every time you take a practice test, I want you to practice this breathing exercise. The next thing is that in order to stay focused and help with your anxiety, you need to take breaks. Don't try to power through. When individuals try to power through, that's when you start realizing the second half of the exam didn't go as well as you were doing in the first half of the exam. So you really want to give yourself mental breaks. And on NCLEX day, the exam will offer you a break at 2 hours and then an hour and a half later, but you can take a break whenever you want. These breaks do count toward the total 5 hours, but you have plenty of time. Don't let that stop you. It is super important to take breaks, and you don't have to always get up and leave the exam to take a break. So on your practice test that you do, I want you to practice taking mental breaks. Just don't go to the next question yet. Relax, close your eyes, take a couple of relaxation breaths, and then come back to your exam. So these can be really short, 15-second breaks, 1 minute, and they will help you be more focused as you get to that next question. So think about breaks. The next thing that I want you to be a believer in is the importance of positive self-talk. Be your own cheerleader. I want you to say to yourself several times a day, and definitely whenever you sit down to an exam, I am smart, I have worked hard and I can do this. Students who see themselves as academically competent obtain higher grades. So be positive. You're the first person who should be believing in yourself and know how hard you've worked. You got this. The next concept I like to just address a little bit is the ability to learn to let it go. Now, this, I mean, both when you are practicing tests, let's say that you do a practice test and you don't like the score at the end. You know what? That's okay. Not every day is going to be a phenomenal test day, and that's all right. I want you to learn to remediate that test, take away what you need to learn from that exam, but then I want you to let it go and you'll have another test day that I'm sure that you will perform stronger on. So learn to let it go. And on test day, let's say that you get a test question and it just kind of takes your breath away. You're all of a sudden you just draw a blank. It's all right. Just take some relaxing breaths. Remember, the exam is about safety. Focus on safety. And then critically think and review each of your answer options and do your best job. And then let that question go. All right, move on to the next question. It will be okay. And then last thing I like to remind students is that both NCLEX.com and the Pearson VUE Testing Center have lots of great tutorials on their website. Watch them all. Why not, right? They're there for a purpose. They made a tutorial because the tutorials likely answer common questions that students have had, so take advantage of viewing those tutorials.